Hi again, everyone. I'm back. I am Ted Simpson here, and I'm here to show you another Nature's Brush Basics video, companion piece to the first one. And we're going to be making evergreen trees with the 1-inch brush. Oh my goodness. So if you saw my last video here, I had a big pile mixed up of a dark color with a hint of green. I used Mountain Mix and a little bit of the sap green. And I covered my dry canvas. I had an old canvas I was practicing clouds in here. I covered it with just a thin amount of the liquid clear, wiped off the excess so I can spread and blend color if I need it here. Just using this wet on wet technique. It's really helpful to have a little bit of wet color, wet base medium in this case. So, loading the 1-inch brush for evergreens, first off, you have to understand that it takes a lot of paint, okay? You are going to burn through your tube a little bit here. So what I'm doing is I'm holding my brush at an angle, I'm getting a little color from the pile, giving it a little sideways wiggle, and then a pull. Grab some color, wiggle it in, and then pull. Do it for both sides of the brush. Focus on where that paint is going. We want to get a nice chiseled tip. Okay? Don't really want to run the paint all the way up here. Want to keep it up near the top. I'm hesitant to say how much. That's what, about 1/2 inch or so? Maybe a little more, maybe a little bit less. You'll figure it out as you practice. But loading that paint throughout those bristles and then pulling it smooth to create that wedge of color, or as Bob would say, a chiseled edge. Okay? You need a lot of paint to do it. So now I have that nice wedge of color. I am gently just going to touch my skinny little line, and then I smooth again. Remember, we load from the pile, smooth it in the runway. Now, holding my brush, this is very similar to the fan brush technique where I hold the brush flat, I go over to the right because I'm a righty, and down. Lefties go over to the left and down. And just touch a couple of spots right up here at the top. As I start going down and building out the body of the tree, I'm tapping in the center and going out. Filling in the center and then working out. Now these trees are a little bit more, what's the word here? Impressionistic, okay? They don't look like fan brush trees because there's not an arc. So they don't really bend down like the fan brush do. They don't have a frown to them. And you know, it just gives a little bit different look. Not necessarily better or worse, just different. So you just gotta find the angle and tap from the center, work your way out, and you just make an interesting shape. A little narrower at the top, a little wider at the bottom. I like to make my trees different heights. See that? That center line that you create here really isn't a trunk. It's just a guideline for you to know where to tap. Up top you see a little bit of it, but that's about it. Tapping and out. Tappy, tappy, tap. Out, out, out. Tap and out. A little further out as you go down. You're building that tree. Something like that. Lots and lots of paint. Feel free to load and smooth. And probably one of the most important things is when you run out of a pile there, I just take my knife, I scrape it all up, put it right back here at the top. That makes it easy to grab what you need and remake your little smoothing area. Grab what you need and smooth it. All right, let's go ahead and give upward facing ones a try. Tapping a little skinny little line. Loading this brush. Look at that, this one kind of has a little bit of a lean to it. And this time, once again, I go over and up. And we're going to try to make some upward facing trees a little bit different. As long as it's dark in the center, it's a little wider at the bottom than it is at the top. And right here, you can see here, I kind of zigged and zagged really quickly here. So you can come back and fill in a couple of spots here if it looks a little scraggly. Something like that. I have to be honest with you, it's been a while since I've done upward facing trees with the 1-inch brush. So I'm getting a little bit of practice in here in real time. Trying to think if Bob ever did one of these on the show or not. I'm here to show you that it can be done, and you can get some very effective results using these techniques. And I always like to put a little one in the back here. He's just a little guy. There we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe out most of the paint, or some of the paint at least, on my palette. Then I come up here, I wrap that brush up, I give it a good squeeze and a pull, and then a stir. Now I can go into the paint thinner without contaminating the whole pile, the whole bucket of thinner. Shake it out. You're going to hear me wrap it against the bucket here. Okay, look at that clean and dry brush. All right, here we go again. I'm going to get a little bit of the paint from the liquid white container there. And as with the dark color, we need a lot to get this to create our wedge. So that little sideways wiggle forces that paint into the bristles. If it looks a little too minty or chalky, add a little bit more of your color because it's got too much liquid white ratio going on there. There we go. You can start to see that nice wedge of color. Bristles are all collapsed. Now I can add some green, working some green into it until I find the degree of highlight that I like. There we go. Now if the paint doesn't come off with a light touch, you need a little bit more of the liquid white, or a single half a raindrop of paint thinner. All right, here we go. Sometimes I got to take a deep breath myself here. So, handle over and down for the tops. Get a little out there. If some comes off, that's good enough. Then I start tapping little highlights here and there. Not everywhere. If it's hard time coming off, watch this. Pull and then tap. Give it a little tappy. Get some right up on the tips of the bristles. There it comes off. Let's try that again. Using the corner first. Getting a little bit out on those little ones. And then start working down. As I said, these are a little bit more impressionistic, but it creates a pretty interesting effect. So when you're doing your painting, these aren't always the focus of the paintings, okay? I know in this video here, that's all you're looking at, but in a big painting here, these aren't going to be so prominent. All right. Tapping upwards, working downwards, getting some highlights on some of the branches, letting some of them remain. We gotta get this little guy first. Do the ones in the back first. Then you can overlap and cover up some of those background ones. Maybe let's put a little bit of grass. Tapping upwards here. There we go. And that's how we create evergreens with the old 1-inch brush. All right. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'm going to make these with the palette knife. Thank you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.